Good evening, guys. Good evening, folks. It's your bro, Richie again. Tonight in this video is now another extended video of the previous A.K.A. Cobra video. And tonight I'm still continuing on with the part where I left off for the Cobra 427. So let's continue on. So the new car also had wide fenders and a large radiator opening. It's powered by the 7-liter 427 Ford FE side oiler V8 equipped with a single 4-barrel with a single 4-barrel Holly 780 CFM, so 780 CFM, so a single 4-barrel 780 CFM Holly carburetor rated at 6,000 RPM for 6,000 RPM for power and 3,730, so 6,000 RPM for power and 6,000 RPM for power and 3,700 for torque. So it was rated at 425 horsepower, pretty good amount, and 480 pound-feet, around 650, well 650, so 651, I'll just round up, like 650 newton meters of torque, the same as an G80 M3. The only difference is it has an extra 85 horsepower more than the Cobra. It says 6,000 RPM for power and 3,700 for torque, 425 horsepower. So 425 horsepower, and so 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet, 651 newton meters of torque, which provided a top speed of 164 miles an hour. Pretty good. In the standard model, the more powerful semi competition, well, SC model, I always thought it was, I thought the abbreviation SC was supercharged, but it was SC. So semi competition. So the SC model was tuned to an extra 60 horsepower, so it pushed it from 425 to 485 horsepower. So an extra 60 horsepower more. Pretty good. And at a top speed of 185 miles an hour. Next is the competition models, such as the CSX and the CSB 3001-3100. So 3001-3100. Cobra Mark III production began on the 1st of January 1965. Start with the mid 60s. Two prototypes had been sent to the U.S. in October last year. From that time period, October 1964. So October 64 was. So in 1964, cars were sent to the U.S. to the States as unpainted rolling chassis, and they were finished in Shelby's workshop. Unfortunately, the Mark III wasn't homologated for the 1965 racing season and wasn't ready by the Shelby team. Only 56 of those 100 cars, only 56% required were produced. Of those, 31 unsold competition models were both detuned and fitted with windshields. Both detuned and fitted with windshields for street use. So 56% were produced. So that means the remaining 44% weren't. which is a bit of a disadvantage. Say of those, 31 unsold competition models were both detuned and fitted with windshields for street use, so to use on the road. Called SC for semi-competition, an original example uh, can currently sell for $1.5 million. So $1.5 million, making it one of the most valuable Cobra variants. It's one of the most valuable Cobra variants. Next is the reduction models. Um, so it's the CSX and CSB 3101 to 3101 to 3360. So some Cobra 427s were fitted with Ford's 428. So with Ford's 428 FEVA, so still 7 liters, with both a longer stroke and smaller bore than the original 427. The over square V8 uh, was a lower cost, so a cheaper motor intended for road use rather than racing. The AC Cobra was a financial failure, unfortunately, that led both Ford and Carroll Shelby, may rest in peace, that led both Ford and Carroll Shelby to discontinue importing cars from the UK in 1967. Next, we got is the AC 289 Sports. AC cars kept producing the coil spring coil. So next is the AC 289 Sports. So it's a COV/COX 6101 to 6132. I believe those are the codes, chassis codes. I think, I don't know. So AC cars kept producing the coil spring AC Roadster with both narrower fenders, and a small block and a 4.7 liter uh and a 4.7 liter Ford 289. So four and a 4.7 liter Ford and a 4.7 liter Ford 289 and a 4.7 liter Ford 289 small block V8 small block V8 motor. It was both built and sold in Europe until late 1969. So before the end of the 60s and before the start of the very early 1970s. Next is the different types of packages, starting off with these three versions of the snakes. So starting off with the first one is the dragon snake. Badass name for badass car. Anyways, moving on. So Shelby offered a drag race pack known as the Dragon Snake, which won several NHRA national events, with either Bruce Larson or Ed Hendrick, either Bruce Larson or Ed Bruce Bruce Larson or Ed Hendrick, um, at the wheel of CSX 2093. Only six, only six, only six of those Dragon Snake, uh, of those 4.7 liter 289 Dragon Snake V8 Cobras were produced by the factory. Uh, so the codes were 2019, 2357, and so 2019, 2357 as factory team cars, and 2248, 2416, 2427, and 2472 as private team cars. One 427 Dragon Snake 3198 was produced. Cobras were also prepared. by customers using the dragback. Examples include 2075. Imagine that was the year, I'd be 70. I'm an old man at that time. Anyways, so these are the codes. So 2075, 2093, 2109, so 2109, 2353, and 3159 King Cobra. Next is the slalom snake. This should be interesting. So, designed for autocross events. I'm not sure if it's like rallying, but I don't know. So, designed for autocross events, only two were produced. As examples, the CSX 2522 Slalom Special and the CSX 2537 Slalom Snake. Both had white exterior paint with red racing stripe with red racing. So both had white exterior paint with red racing stripes and red leather interiors. Equipped also identically to CSX 2522. The second example had aluminum valve covers, tuned air cleaner, Smith's heater seatbelts, front and rear. So Smith heater seatbelts, front and rear brake cooling ducts, hood scoop side exhausts, and a painted roll bar. Which was 2522's roll bar was chromed. Suspension options included Kone shock absorbers, front and rear anti-roll bars or sway bars, unpolished, so it was not polished, 6-inch magnesium pin drive wheels, and Goodyear Blue Streak sports car special tires. Next is the Super Snake, not for like the Mustang Super Snake, that's got nothing to do with it, but the Super Snake for the Cobra. So, in was it 19? I can't really see that well. 1966, CSX, 3015 SC, originally part of a European promotional tour, was converted into a special model called the Super Snake, the Cobra to end all Cobras. Sounds evil. Anyways, this conversion was so. So this conversion was for making. So this conversion called. So the Cobra to end all Cobras. Anyway, so sounds badass. Anyway, so so this conversion called for making the original racing model street legal with mufflers, windshield, and bumpers, amongst other mods. But some things weren't modified so that they were stock, including the racing rear end, brakes, and headers. The most notable mods, the addition of TPS, twin Paxton superchargers, which they do like radiators and all that stuff as well. So TPS, twin Paxton superchargers. So Paxton PAX, TON. So Paxton superchargers. Shelby crafted a second model, CSX 33. So CSX 3303. So CSX 3303 from a street version. CSX 3303 was given to comedian Bill Cosby. His close friend, when Bill attempted to drive CSX 3303, he found it very difficult to control. He later recounted the experience of his 1968 stand-up comedy album 200 Miles an Hour. It was a 1968 stand-up comedy album 200 Miles an Hour. Cosby gave the car back to Shelby, who then shipped it out to one of his company's dealers in San Francisco, California, SNC Ford of Van Ness Avenue. SNC Ford then sold it to customer uh, Tony Maxey, Maxey. Uh, Tony had his throttle stick throttle stick while leaving a traffic stop, lost control, and drove it off a cliff, landing in the Pacific Ocean waters. Must be scary. I don't know how. It must have been like. It must have presumably might have drove it like straight across or something. Considering like how high that hill is from the river. Oh my god. I will not experience any death-threatening situations like this. Oh my god. Jesus, they lost control and drove it off a cliff, landing in the Pacific Ocean waters. Shelby used CSX 3015 as a personal car over the years, sometimes entering it into local races like the Turismos uh, Visit so Turismos Visitadores Cannon so Turismos Visitadores Cannonball Run race in Nevada, right next to the California border, and next to the border of Utah as well, where he was waking up. This is a quote: waking up whole towns blowing up, whole towns blowing out windows, throwing belts, and catching fire a few times but finishing. That's a quote. That's a quote. So, catching fire a few times but finishing. CSX 3015's auctioned on January 22nd, 2007 at the Barrett Jackson collector car event in Scottsdale, Arizona for $5 million. In 2024, that's an equivalent of 7.27, less than $7.3 million as plus commission, a record for a vehicle made in the US. Next is adaptations. So starting off with the first one is CFX 01-80. So, CF slash CFX 01-80. AC produced the AC 428 Frua on a sketched Cobra 427 Mark III Cobra 427 Mark III coil spring chassis with a steel body designed and built by Pietro Frua. The car was built until 1973, the year Paul Walker was born. May rest in peace. So until 1973, when the year Paul Walker was born. May rest in peace. So until 1973. Next is EF/EFX 501-509. The American Electric Car Company, or AECC, used an even more extensively modified chassis for their cars. A single EFX chassis was supplied to the UK with both motor and gearbox fitted. Next is the Ghia Spider CSX 5001-5002. Only so one 96-inch prototype chassis. CSX 3063 was shipped to Ghia, GHIA in Italy in 1965. So in the mid 60s for a body styling exercise. This car's first displayed during a Euro car show with a Cobra license tag. The car's written up in the winter 65-66 edition of Style Quarterly magazine. Shelby American internal production records show that the car shipped to Shelby American for both evaluation and review. A.C. Cars Ltd. Internal production records show that Shelby American placed an order for two 96-inch chassis, CSX 5001 and 5002, in 5001 and 5002 in 1966. AC labeled these chassis as Gia convertible in their factory, Ledger. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's spelled Ledger. Next is Ford XD Cobra, so CSX 3001. Shelby American internal production records. So Shelby American internal production records show that the cars shipped to Shelby American for evaluation and review in early 19. Shipped. So Shelby American internal production records show that the cars shipped to Shelby American for both evaluation and review in early 1966. The cars returned to Ford and now resides in the Detroit Historical Museum in Detroit, Michigan. Next up is Autocraft. Autocraft manufactured an AC 289, so an AC 289 4.7 liter V8 vehicle called the Autocraft Mark IV. Basically a Mark III AC Cobra with a 4.95 liter 302 Ford V8 and a Borg Warner T5 manual or automatic, is it? I don't really know. The Mark V also received an independent suspension setup. In 1986, during the mid-1980s, Autocraft, as a joint venture with Ford, joining as a joint venture as a Autocraft as a joint venture with Ford, joining in 1987, purchased AC Cars and produced the AC Mark IV Cobra with a 250 horsepower 4.9 liter with a 4.9 liter 302 Ford V8. So 4,200 RPM for power, didn't display the torque. So with a 4.9 liter 302 Ford V8, which provided a top speed of 134 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. It's not that bad really, but could do better, but oh well. At the 1990 Geneva Salon event, the lightweight version was presented. Weight was down to 2,360 pounds compared to 2,620, which is 1,070 kilos compared to 1,190, and power was up to 370 horsepower at 5,750 RPMs. That's crazy. Thanks to aluminum headers, Holley four-barrel carburetor, and the deletion of a catalytic converter. In other words, it has no catalytic converter. While the lightweight didn't meet U.S. federal regulations, the Mark IV did, however, and 480 cars of all versions were built until 1996. Next is the AC Car Group. In 1996, the company was purchased by Pride Automotive. Two new Cobra style cars were launched in 1987. The Super Blower, an aluminum-bodied car with a supercharged 4.9 liter 302 Ford V8 producing 320 horsepower. Pretty good. And a cheaper CRS, a Carbon Road Series version with a carbon fiber body and a 225 horsepower version of the Ford V8. 22 Super Blowers and 37 CRSs were built between the years 97 and 01. In 1999, in the end of the 90s, a limited edition run of 25 of those 4.7-liter FIA Cobras were planned. Only one example was manufactured, chassis number COV1001. A further variant, the 212SC, with a 3.5-liter 214, 350 horsepower, twin turbocharged Lotus V8 was introduced in the year 2000, but only two were built. Only two examples were built. In 2001, the company relocated its in 2001 the company relocated its in 2001 the company relocated its facility to Frimley, so Frimley in Surrey. By August 2002, so mid 2002 the company was in a financial low and briefly so like during the middle of the early 2000s, the company was in a financial low and briefly acquired by private corporation who closed operations in October 2003. Only two models were produced, an FIA 289 COX 2610 and a 427 Cobra COX 3361. The cars were intended to be sold. The cars were intended to be sold in the U.S. market. The cars were intended to be sold in the U.S. market through a new company, A.K.A. Cars U.S. So the cars were intended to be sold in the U.S. market through a new company, A.C. Cars USA. A.C. Cars USA in Florida. Both cars were numbered following where the original lender entries left off. So both cars were numbered following where the original lender entries left off during the 60s. Next is the AC. Next is the AC Motor Hold. Next is the AC Motor Holdings Ltd. On July 8th, 2002, so it's 20 years before I had my high school prom when I was 16. But I was on July 6th, technically. So, anyways, on July 8th, wait, sorry about that. On July 8th, 2002, a new company was formed in Malta, in the country of Malta, named AC Motor Holdings, and was responsible for the branding of the company. In late 2003, the Frimley factories under the control of AC Motor Holdings. On December 4th that same year, Shelby and AC announced a co-production of the CSX 1000 and CSX 7500 series. Only 14 of those 1000s and only 14 CSX 1000 and 2 CSX 7500s were built by 2007. So built by 2007. Between 2004 and 2007, AC Motor Holdings produced the AC Mark V in their Malta factory. However, only 3 right-hand drive and 2 left-hand drive carbon fiber AC Mark V's produced. So only 3 right-hand drive and 2 left-hand drive carbon fiber AC Mark V's powered by 340 horsepower 5-liter 305 Ford V8s were built before the Maltese operation closed. Next is the D's Holdings. What is it? LLC. On April 20th, 2008, AC announced its Heritage Series. The UK operations were granted to Brooklyn's Motor Company, DBA AC Heritage. The US operations were granted to AC Autocraft LLC of Michigan. Both companies are licensed to produce traditional aluminum body models, Rud Speed 289 and so Rud Speed 289 and 427 continuation Aces and Cobras. In 2009, the end of the 2000s AC, the end of the 2000s the end of the 2000s AC licensed Gullwing GmbH in Germany, DBA AC Automotive, to produce the AC Mark 6. The AC Mark 6 with an aluminum coated composite body and powered by a 6.2 liter 328 kilowatt Chevy LS3 V8, which made which made 440 horsepower, or a supercharged version taking it up to 550 horsepower. In 2012, during the early 2010s, the AC Mark II chassis released, available in either aluminum or fiberglass bodies. In 2017, during like the mid to late 2010s, the AC Mark I 260 Legacy Editions released in a limited production of 9 cars. 9. Also released was the AC 378, a newer composite body version of the Cobra. Next is the Shelby Daytona Coupe. This is gonna be pretty badass still. In an effort to improve top speed along the legendary Mulsanne Street at the 24 Hours of Le Mans race, a number of enclosed coupe variations were constructed using a leaf spring chassis and running gear of the AC Shelby Cobra Mark II. The most famous and so a number of enclosed coupe variations were constructed using the leaf spring chassis and running gear of the AC Shelby Cobra Mark II. The most famous and numerous of these were the official works Shelby Daytona Coupe, Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupes. Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupes. 6 were constructed, each being subtly different from the rest. AC Cars also produced a Le Mans Coupe version. The car's a one-off and was nearly destroyed after a high-speed tire blowout at the 1964 Le Mans race. The cars qualified conservatively second in GT. The race started well, with the AC chassis number A98 maintaining its position in the top 2 in GT and even leading the class for a time. This was not to last as an act of sabotage. This was not to last as an act of sabotage. Sabotage. Newspaper in a fuel tank. Newspaper in a fuel tank. Don't know how the hell that even got there, but oh well. Began to block the fuel filter. The car lost time until this was both diagnosed and cleaned out. The car proceeded at the predetermined conservative lap time, and for the next stint remained trouble-free. The car is able to match the Shelby Daytona's speed, despite running a higher differential ratio, 2.88 instead of 3.07, and a lower state of engine tune for reliability, 355 horsepower instead of the Daytona's 385. The Wilman race team became interested in Shelby's Cobra based coupe and inquired on purchasing one. Shelby turned down the offer, but supplied the drawings to Wilman, dubbed the Wilman Cobra Coupe. The car was fully built by the JWA racing team and numbered 2131 on the frame. Next is the 427 Super Coupe. So these next few pieces have not got that much info to it. So not much info to it. Not much info to it, but we'll do it. So next is a 427 Super Coupe. So a prototype CSX 3 a prototype CSX 3027 was the so a prototype CSX 3027 was to be a 427 coupe. But since the focus was shifted towards the GT program, this project received little amount of attention. Both the bodywork and chassis were soon scrapped. Two further chassis were ordered, number CSX 3054 and 3055. This project was also abandoned with just 3055 receiving only a body. 30 not 3055 3054, sorry, receiving a body. So two further chassis were ordered, numbered CSX 3054 and 3055. This project was also abandoned with just 3054 receiving a body. 3055 was sold to the Wilmot race team and was fitted with a Ghia supersonic body originally mounted on a Fiat 8V. Next is next, next is the Argentine manufacturing. In 2023, so 3 years ago, Argentine entrepreneur Federico Alvarez Castillo Alvarez Alvarez Castillo announced that he would that he would manufacture both big block 7-liter 427 and small block 4.7-liter 289 models um, under official license at his 4.7-liter 289 models under official license at his plant located in Pilar in Buenos Aires. The plans to manufacture 12 units per year with the goal of with the goal with the goal of exporting them to the Latin American market. Next is the counterfeit uh, Cobras. So, in 1993, the Los Angeles or the LA Times exposed a scheme by Shelby to counterfeit the AC Cobra. With the price of an original 7-liter Cobra skyrocketing, Shelby had requested the CDMV, California Department of Motor Vehicles, the government agency responsible for titling vehicles and issuing operator permits, to issue 43 duplicate titles for cars that didn't officially exist in company records. A letter from AC Cars confirmed the fact that the chassis numbers for which Shelby had obtained titles were never manufactured, at least not by AC Cars. Only 55 of those 7-liter Cobras had been originally produced out of a block had been originally produced out of a block of serial numbers reserved for 100 cars. Shelby had taken advantage of a loophole in the California system. So Shelby had taken advantage of a loophole in the California system. So in a California system. So in a California system. So in a California system that allowed one to obtain a duplicate title for a car with only a written declaration without the VIN number appearing in the DMV's database. Either that or the declarant ever presenting an actual car for inspection. Shelby admitted that the chassis had been manufactured in both 1991 and 92 by McCluskey Ltd., an engineering firm in Torrance, California, and were not original AC chassis. However, Shelby denied having misled anyone and said he was a victim of a campaign by Brian Anglis, Anglis, a British competitor. a British competitor who owned AC at the time, and was also building Cobras from the original from and was also building Cobras from the original tooling, and wished to enhance his sales by smearing Shelby's car. Next is last but certainly not the very least is the continuation cars. So let's finish this. So there's quite a bit more, but I'll finish this fast as I can. Even if it kills me, don't worry, I'll get this done in no time. Still, since the late 80s onwards, uh, so since the late 80s, since the late 80s, 1980s onwards, various companies have built what are known in the hobby as continuation cars. Shelby authorized continuations of the original AC built Cobra series, produced in Las Vegas, Nevada, next to the California border. These cars retain um, both the general style and appearance of their original 60s ancestors, but are fitted with modern amenities. but were fitted with modern amenities. But were fitted with modern amenities. The initial version for continuations a 427 SC model, which was represented in a CSX 4000 series. This was meant to continue where the last 427 SC production left off, at, appro- at approximately serial number CSX 3360 in the 1960s. The initial CSX 4000, the initial CSX 4000 series cars were completed from the chassis built by Mike McCluskey with NOS, so not nitrous oxide, but new old stock and reconditioned parts, based in Torrance, California. McCluskey, McCluskey. Mike McCluskey. So Mike had been Shelby's personal mechanic since the 60s, and was a well established restorer and fabricator. Given the value of the given the value of the car, given the value of the car, may given the value of the car, many extra cars have appeared over the years. Even some sharing the same chassis number, apparently. Gradually, supply vintage parts supply ran low. Newly constructed frames and body panels were obtained for a variety of suppliers. The production of chassis numbers 4001 and 4999. So 4001 and 4999, both CSX, took roughly 20 years, and many different uh, business relationships to business relationships to com- business race business business relationships to complete. During the continuation period, um, Kirkham Motorsports were so during the continuation period, Kirkham Motorsports were contracted 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 by Shelby um to produce rolling so Kirkham Motorsports were contracted by Shelby to produce rolling Cobra body chassis units, but this didn't end amicably. Pete Brock said in a Hot Rod magazine interview, Shelby would go to Kirkham's and say, um, he would buy their entire year's worth of production and sign a contract. So, say he would buy their entire year's worth of he would buy their entire year's worth of production and sign a contract. They called me and asked if they should do it, and I said, as long as you get the money up front, but if you let a car out the door, you'll lose money. Shelby paid that way for 2 years, and then finally, Kirkham's got a great big order, and Shelby's truck driver said he forgot to bring the check. He went back with a bunch of cars on the transporter, and Shelby told him he wasn't going to pay them, that they owe it to him, that they owed it to him. Sorry, that almost put Kirkham's out of business. In 2009, CSX 4999 was produced, concluding the 4000 series. Production had continued with the CSX. Production had continued with the CSX 6000 serial numbers, featuring coilover suspension, the 289 4.7 liter FIA leaf spring race version of the cars, reproduced as CSX 7000, and the original slapside leaf spring streetcars, the CSX 8000 series. The Daytona coupes reported as the CSX 9000 series. So CSX 9000 series. To date, most continuations are produced in fiberglass, with some ordering cars with either aluminum or carbon fiber bodywork. In 2004, at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Michigan, Ford unveiled a concept for Ford unveiled a concept. So Ford unveiled a concept for a modernized A.K.A. Cobra. The Ford Shelby Cobra concepts, a continuation of Ford's effort to bring back the retro sports cars that has been successful in the 60s, including the GT40 and Gen 5 GT40 and Gen GT40 GT40 and Gen 5 Mustang. In last part, and especially the end, in 2014, a year after Paul Walker passed away, and a year before his final movie Furious 7 was released, in in 2014, so 12 years ago, in 2014, Shelby American announced a limited edition production of 50 cars for the 50th anniversary of the original 427 Shelby Cobra. So 427 Shelby Cobra. That's Shelby Cobra. Alright, and that is officially it for the AC Cobra, folks. So if you guys love this video, subscribe, comment below what y'all think. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you know when we make rain uploads. So that'll be it. I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Till then, stay safe, have a great evening, and have a great day tomorrow morning. And I'll see you guys soon in the next video. So yeah, take care, folks. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys soon. Good night.